Good morning. Thank you. So today is Monday, the 9th day of Elul.
Well, I thought,
And because it's Monday, traditionally a day for opening the Torah portion of the week, I'm going to focus on the connections that just really jumped out to me. Some of the connections between this week's Parsha, Teitzei, and the forgiveness practice that I'm involved in for this Elul. And so much of what is really close to my heart about this is from Hasidut, including Neo-Hasidut. And I'll say a little bit about that in a minute. Just wanted to begin with saying that one of the Hasidic openers to Torah study, which many of us on this call learned so many years ago when Natan Margalit came to teach Hasidut at Woodstock Jewish Congregation. Galeinai ve'abita niflaot mitoratecha. May my eyes be open to the wonders of the Torah. So this week's Parsha, Teitzei, begins, and I want to put out three distinct translations of the first line. So the traditional translation is when you go out against your enemies. And that is interesting. And it takes me on a journey of when do I go out against enemies? Because I'm not a warrior. I'm not a soldier in the sense of carrying arms. So for me, going out against enemies has a different meaning. And of course, when I look at the Hasidic tradition, it has a very different meaning there either. Also. So I'll go into that in a moment. The other two translations or two aspects of that first line that I want to highlight is when you go out of the field, when you go out into a field, or when you go out from a field. So this is also saying when you are in that promised land, right? Because that's what's happening in this Parsha. We're given the laws of how to be together, how to be with ourselves, how to be with others when we're in this promised land that we never get to in the Chumash, right? When you are in it, you're also going to go out of it. So Torah, right from the beginning of every Parsha, is telling us this promised land is nothing permanent. It's dependent and codependent on everything else, on how we show up, on what we do, when you go in and when you go out. So that's also in this very first line. And then the line that I wanted to read, that is my super favorite translation, is from someone who we know as Miles Krasson, who is also known as Rabbi Moshe Aharon Ladishner. He's also known as Rain of Blessings. He was very close to Reb Zalman, our Rebbe from Jewish Renewal. And this is how Miles Krasson translates this first line of Teitzei, which is Deuteronomy 21:10. When you take the initiative in dealing with the unique challenges which your soul needs to confront, being who guides you places the challenge within your power. And I'll send a link so you can just spend all of Elul meditating on that. So Reb Miles, for me, is putting forward the Neo-Hasidic way of looking at this. Yud He Vav He is translated as the being who guides you. And being who guides us is giving us this power to take initiative, to at least begin the work of dealing with the unique challenges that our souls need to confront. So I wanted to go back to a little more grounded approach. Reb Miles always takes me just into many other worlds. When, as I said, when do I go back? When do I go out to battle? So take for a moment, all of us think about, when do you go out to battle? Because this is our work. Our work in Elul, right, is to look at how do I go out either toward parts of myself or toward others that cause or step into friction, conflict, a place where if I want to clear, I'm going to have to do some forgiveness work, which is a great deal of the work of this time. So when I go out to battle, I think it's when I already have an image in my mind that someone is an enemy, that a part of myself is something I want to get rid of, or that something in the world is something I want to get rid of. And when I make a choice, choose actions from the consciousness that someone or a part of myself is an enemy because they've done something that I judge as wrong or bad or unforgivable, from that place, I go out to do battle. Instead of entering the field in Elul that's beyond right doing and wrongdoing, the field of unity, which the Hasidic tradition is so clear that before we do this work, we have to step into a place of wholeness, of reconnecting, of returning to the consciousness that we all come from the same soul, that we all come from the same light, and that it was pronounced good, right? Before we do this hard, challenging work of forgiveness, we really want to step back into this place where the light is good, the soul is good, the essence of creation from which we all spring is good. We have to go to that place first. Otherwise, we go into that field and we do battle. And we enter a battlefield where right doing and wrong doing control our consciousness. And when we're in that field, we can't step into anyone else's experience because we're afraid of it. And I'm not talking about doing this when we're actually going to face a physical danger. This is the inner work. The Jewish sages taught that the battle to integrate our full human experience is done through prayer. The Zohar itself, right, the foundational work, or one of the 2 or 3 foundational works of Kabbalah, says that the time of prayer is the time of battle. So to do our work of forgiveness and return during this month of Elul, we start with our own inner work. We start in the safest place there is when we are in conversation with unconditional love, with the unconditioned. That's where we start the work. That is the battlefield that we first want to step into. The Kabbalists of Sfat and probably other places went out into the field to pray before Kabbalat Shabbat. That is the time that we're reaching for connection with the source of everything beyond our judgments of good and evil. We pray that our hearts will open to oneness and unification. There's so much to be said about going into the field during Elul and how we can do that in a way that our hearts are safe enough to open, because there is a field we want to step into to do some transformation. And why would we do this? I want to share another beautiful teaching that I heard this week, either from Rabbi Charner Rosenholtz or Rabbi Aaron Schmolker. I forgot which one. I've been like, I'm just steeped in this beautiful neo-Hasidic Elul practice. But the verse in the same parsha, this is Deuteronomy 22:4, says, can be applied to, well, why would we do this work? And Yaakov Yosef, right, one of the early Hasidic teachers, says, in discussing the law of return, right, which is one of the main laws or first laws put forward in this parsha of laws. By the way, this parsha, Teitzei, has more laws apparently than any other parsha, and it's laws about how we are to be in the promised land, which is interesting to meditate on. Wow, why do we need so many laws in a promised land? Reb Yaakov Yosef says that this line, if you find your neighbor's ox in the field, you must help him raise it, a fallen ox. Why? It means you shall be raised along with it. He plays with the order of the words. So we do this to elevate ourselves. And I want to end with just a reminder to myself and maybe an invitation to all of us that when we do the work of forgiveness during Elul, to keep in mind that we're doing this for ourselves, for our own spiritual upliftment. And this is what the Hasidic tradition says, right? I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this because when I step into the consciousness of forgiveness, that's a consciousness of emptiness, it is a consciousness of emptiness, actually, but I meant to say it's a consciousness of empathy, of compassion, of letting go of what separates me from others, of letting go of what has conditioned my heart to limit it. So as Reb Yaakov Yosef says, it means you shall be raised along with it. And this is a core principle from nonviolent communication, that whatever we do, when we look for strategies to meet our needs for compassion or spiritual upliftment, we want to make sure that we understand that we're making choices to bring into the world the energy of what we want more of in the world. So we do it for ourselves. There's a whole other teaching. I think I've run out of time this morning, so to be continued. And may all of us find a path to forgiveness, or at least try a path to forgiveness that really brings us comfort. We've prepared for this with these weeks of comfort. May we find a path to forgiveness that we have the courage to step onto, that really brings us closer, that fulfills our longing for closeness. Thank you.
course, last night it was fabulous, clear, long. I did the best I could in this moment. Forgive me. Roberta, that was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.